How are you guys? Mudsy here from Muay Thai Interviews again. And my next guest, he's a former ISKA K1 World Champion. He's a WMC Intercontinental Muay Thai Champion. He just recently made his 1FC debut in Malaysia and he trains out of Stockade Training Centre down in the ACT, Australia. I'm joined by Josh Time Bomb Tonna. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. Thanks for having me. It's a honor to be on your interviews.
Oh, that's ridiculous, mate. I'm just a normal bloke just having a crack.
Yeah,
but
me too, mate. Me too.
I appreciate it, mate. You're doing good things, mate. And just last weekend, mate, you made your 1FC debut in Malaysia against Pech Dam from the famous Pech Yindi gym in Bangkok. Although things didn't go your way, tell us about that whole experience and the lead up to fight week.
Yeah. So I'll start like right at the start before I even got the contract and that. So I think I had just had a fight in China in WLF, and I was sort of wondering what to do. So like my next move, and we were sort of just discussing avenues we could take. Like I always wanted to fight in Glory and Kunlun, and we had a chat about all those different avenues. And my trainer said, "Oh, 1 year email 1FC." I said, "Oh, all right, no worries. I'll just send them a sort of pass an email." And yeah, I messaged Mike Chavillo. I said, "I know you're sort of signing like big names at the moment, but what's the chances of me just getting to go?" And he said, "Goes, yeah, we are signing sort of like the Yod Sinclairs, Fabio Pinkers, Giorgio Petrosians, all them. Um, we'll get through all those guys, and then we'll sort of let you know what's happening from them. But it's really hard at the moment. Everyone wants to sort of get in." I said, "Okay, no worries." And then it was about a month later, he messaged me and said, "Oh, they want to give you a go." Um, I said, "Yeah, that's awesome, man. Just he said, send all your details through, and you should expect an email." And so I got an email from this bloke, Bashir, and they offered me 6 fights over 2 years. So I was blown away. I thought I was just going to get one fight. They gave me 6 fights. And they said, yeah, like, sort of just stay ready. They told me about, like, all the hydration testing, and so you don't, like, cut weight. You have to walk around weight. So they offered me a fight at 66. I said, "Oh, man, that's way too big." So we decided that my weight would be 61. And then he offered me a fight, and it was with a Thai, and I was like, "Oh, I wonder who it is." And they said it's Petdam. And before all this, I saw they signed 4 Thais, and I was like, "Oh man, I hope it's not against one of these guys." Like before, and then I looked him up, and I was like, "Oh my god, he's a current WBC champion, former Lumpini champion." Yeah, he's had a list of accolades and titles and accomplishments, and I was pretty worried. So I emailed Sai and called him and had a bit of a chat with him and talked to a few other guys I respect, and got a message from Timo Rouge, and they all said, like, "Man, just go for it." So I accepted the fight, and then we had 3 weeks or 4 weeks to train, so it wasn't a very long camp. I was pretty fit already. Yeah, so not long, and it was with the little gloves, so that was another thing to sort of get over. But anyway, I did the training camp and went over to Malaysia, and man, it was a crazy experience. They were so professional, like nothing I'd ever sort of been in. They had everything was to a schedule, like you're never sort of waiting around. Everything was spot on with time, and they paid well. They really looked after you, and I really respect what they're doing with the hydration testing. Like it just ensures that everyone's going to be healthy, and there should be no injuries and stuff
Can
with
you
cutting weight.
can you fill us in on what exactly happens when you get a hydration test?
Yeah, so you have to make your weight. Mine was 61.2, so I had 2 weigh-ins. I had a weigh-in on the uh, was it Tuesday and Wednesday? Oh, sorry, Wednesday and Thursday. The fight was on the Friday. You had to be on your weight, and you had to do a urine test. And I think the way they tested it was like with the gravity of something in the urine. If it was too dense or something. I'm not really sure, but they just do a urine test and they can test it straight away if you're hydrated or dehydrated. And they just say pass. You jump on the scales. They say pass, and you pass the weigh-in, and then you have to do 2 of those. And if you failed one of those, then you have to weigh in on the fight day as well. And all the weigh-ins were at 1 p.m.
Oh, right. And
Yeah.
how did you find fighting in those 4-ounce gloves for the first time?
Well, I was a little anxious at the start, like sort of when I was training in them. It was like you felt good punching, but on the other end, it was a different story. Like you couldn't really defend as well with the normal gloves. Like you can sort of just hide behind your gloves and your forearms, and you won't really get hit that much. But you have to be a lot more active in the defense, and your punches just get in, and like they hurt a lot more. But I noticed he wasn't as much as a boxer as he was a kicker, so I just thought it was an advantage. And yeah, I had no problem with my abilities with punching. Like that was, if I was going to win, it would be with boxing.
Did you find you had to like how do I say it, sort of like when you were training, like maybe change your guard or your stance or the way that you did block, or did that make you like have to move your head more, like more movement because of the fact that you can't hide behind 8 or 10 ounce gloves?
Yeah, well, with my defense, like I'm pretty passive defense. Like I just have my hands up and sort of almost wait till they finish punching. But this one, like you couldn't hide behind your gloves, so you have to sort of slide your arms up and sort of catch the punches on your forearms a little bit more, or just use your footwork and just be out of the way. Like just because if you get hit with them, man, they're tiny. It's just like just hitting with your fist. Like yeah, you can do a lot of damage with them.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, mate. And so the one question which I ask everyone, mate, how did you find Muay Thai, and where did it all begin for the time bomb?
I was 17. I went to a party. It was sort of like coming to the end of the year, and there was this one incident. Like there was all these fights happening at this party, and I wasn't sort of really into fighting or martial arts even. And somehow, like I got picked by one of these thugs or just guys that were just looking for a fight. And man, I was that terrified of getting into a fight that I hid behind this girl. Like I was trying to say, like, man, I don't want anything. I don't want a part of it. And he, I think he felt sorry for me, or the girl like sort of talked him away from it. And it happened twice from the same guy. He was I think he was just blind and just wanted to fight. Saw this little fat kid, and after that, I was like, oh, I better do something about this. So I talked to my father. He had a good mate who owned the gym, a Bulldog gym. Yeah, I went and had my first session with him. I took a friend with me, and just fell in love with the first session. I remember we did some pads, and it was sort of so much fun. And yeah, the second night I went, my friend didn't come with me, so I was like really hesitant to go back into the gym. You know, like Ben Edwards was training at the time. He was like sort of coming up, and like I didn't know who he was, but there's a lot of big guys that could, you know, they look good, and I just didn't know if I was going to do it. But luckily I went in for the second session and sort of didn't really look back. The first fight night I ever saw was when Ben fought Halperin. He had a boxing fight with him, and I was just like, man, that's what I want to do. Like, so I had training for 6 months and had my first fight. I fought a guy at, he was like, I think 66 kilos, or he weighed in the day before at 66, and probably was fighting at 70, and I weighed in on the night at 64, and man, I loved it. And then yeah, just sort of progressed there. Just had a few more fights and won a few titles. And I think it was after my second fight, I said I want to win a world title. That's what I'm going to go for one day. And it was on an Explosion event before Ben fought a guy Thor Hoopman fought Steve McKinnon. Carnage was the main event.
Yep.
And this is sort of the time I watched the Contender Asia as well. So like introduced to John Wayne and Soren and the Preacher.
Yep.
And I just wanted to be the same as them blokes. And yeah, after that fight, I was like, man, I want to win a world title. So that's what I trained for.
I've got to ask, did you ever see that bully later on in life?
The which?
The bully?
The bully. Oh no, he was some junkie, man. Like I'd probably thank him, like say, oh, you know, got me to this. Like I've never caught up with him.
That's all right. And because I know you've you fought K1 or kickboxing and Muay Thai. Do you have a personal preference as to which one you fight?
Not really. Like I started with kickboxing. That's like our gym is sort of preferably kickboxing. Or my trainer my first trainer was, and yeah, I sort of just took whatever fights I could. My first trainer, John Veron, he passed away in 2008 or 2009, I think. Yeah, it's like nearly coming up to 10 years. And we did all kickboxing with him. And then my second trainer, his best mate, his name's Jamie McQuaig. He come over to Malaysia. He was like really into Muay Thai, and he actually like took me over to Thailand and introduced me to sort of like the more traditional Thai. So I could mix in between both, and I don't really care. I prefer fighting either. I thought K1, you know, was like a bit more exciting and sort of a bit more money, a bit more glamorous with the K1. I always wanted to get to K1, and yeah, I think I can fight either.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And apart from like fighting in Australia, obviously, some other countries you fought in, and I'm sure I know there's more. You fought in like England, Thailand, Japan, Hong Kong, and just last week in Malaysia.
Yeah.
Would you be able to tell us a bit about these experiences that you had in those other countries and what they were like fighting?
Sure. So my first fight overseas, so that was another goal. I was like, I really want to fight overseas. I thought to myself, if I fight overseas, I've made it. So first opportunity going overseas, Jason Lappin put up a post on the old Kickboxer forum saying we need a 60-kilo guy to fight in the the Caesar Cup. It was shoot boxing in Osaka, and I was the first one on there. I said, man, I want to do it. Let me have a go. And the same night, my Ben was fighting in Holland, so everyone went over with Ben, and I went over with a guy called Luke Maitland, who's one of Jason's old fighters. And I really didn't know my opponent. Like I didn't know what he was going to be like, but I ended up being the main event, and he was strong, man. He was really good. Sort of like when I found out about the Japanese sort of way of life, like they would die in the ring, like they're just tough guys. Yeah, that was a really hard fight, sort of an eye-opening experience. And then I fought in England in the K1 Amateur World Championships, and only had one fight against the local English guy there, and he wasn't really that good, so I stopped him in the second round. And then after that, after I won a world title, that was when a few more opportunities sort of popped up. I got to go to Hong Kong a couple times and fought in the K1 World GP, fought in China in the WLF, all really fun experiences, and all against like world-class guys.
And did you fight in Thailand as well?
Yeah, sorry. I fought in the Max Muay Thai. I was actually just on sort of like a holiday training camp. My one of my students come over with me. His father sort of sponsored us, and we got to go over, do 2 weeks of training. We went to Ratchanen, but we didn't really, we're only there for 2 weeks, and we didn't really get a lot of help, so we ended up going just to Fairtex. And I've been there to Fairtex a few times, and I love the training. And I was training with, I think it was I can't remember the bloke's name, the trainer's name, but he said, "Oh, you want to fight at Max?" And I said, "Yeah, okay." And so I had like sort of 5 days notice, and I just fought a young kid over there and won.
Yeah, I love Max, man. Love watching Max on Sundays.
Yeah, it was Max Daily, so I didn't know like differences Max Daily and the Max on
Oh
Sunday.
yeah,
So
yeah.
there was only 3 fights, and we're like, "Oh my god, this is it." So we went a couple of times to watch Max Daily.
And then the next thing you know, mate, you're fighting on
Yeah,
it.
yeah, that's it, that's it.
Now, mate, because you do fight at such a lightweight from like 57 to around 61, 62 kilos, and you've had almost 50 fights. No doubt, it can be tough to find your opponents in Australia who are on your same skill level. Is that why? Is that why you're sort of looking to fight overseas a bit more, and which in turn will give you a bit more exposure?
Yeah, at the start, like maybe sort of 5 years ago, it was sort of a bit of a struggle to find opponents my weight, and I'd have to fight a little bit heavier. Um, but lately, it's pretty good. Like Sai is doing a really good job bringing over, top opponents. So I would, fight in Rebellion or where else? Like Kings of Combat got me a few opponents, but like Sai's doing really good with fighting over top quality opponents for like good level Australians. So I fought a lot with Sai, and then it's like a bit hard to find guys my weight. So that's when I started going overseas.
Yeah. And I just want to just go back a sec. You fought when you fought on one. Are you the second Aussie to fight on that promotion behind Elliot Compton?
There is another Aussie, an MMA guy. I think maybe one or two guys. But there's also Andre Manure.
Oh, Muna.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
fought as well. He fought the week before I did. But I think maybe the third guy, third kickboxer anyway. But they're signing some big names. Daniel Dawson's gonna go over. Steve McKinnon's waiting as well. Forgot who else they said. I think just those two that I can remember.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Nice. Yes, but no doubt there's probably going to be more with the quality of Aussie fighters coming through. I reckon.
Yeah, for sure. And Australia, I think Australia's up there with the top Thai boxers in the world, man. Like, I think Australia, I don't know, it's like New Zealand, like with the UFC, like they're just sort of hidden, but they've got some hidden gems, you know? I mean, obviously Toby Smith is one of the guys, and uh, little Lockie over in Thailand. Like, there's some good guys that they're producing.
Yeah. When you said New Zealand, I actually read that article you put up today about the City Kickboxing Gym.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, I didn't. Um, One of the trainers at my gym, his son-in-law is Dan Hooker, so I got to do some training with Dan, and like I'd like to go over one day, go and do some training at his new gym and at City Kickboxing.
oh
They got
mate,
they got some good guys there.
yeah, you'd have an absolute field day.
Hmm.
And back when you won the ISKA K1 World Title, I think that was 2014. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know you didn't end up defending that for quite a while because you had a lack of suitable opponents. Did you ever end up defending that belt, or did you have to vacate it?
Yeah, I end up vacating it, but not to my knowledge. So it was after K1 World GP, and it could have. I think it was just before I fought Alexi, the rematch. He goes, "Oh, did you notice that you don't have your belt anymore?" And I was surprised. I said, "Oh, what are you talking about?" So I looked on the website, and then some French guy had it. So I was a bit shocked. So I emailed Paul Hennessy, and he just said like, "Man, you hadn't defended it for 15 months or 16 months, so we just took it off you. Like, it's yours and your sort of promoter's responsibility to defend it." So I was a bit upset. Like, I really want to have another go at it, and but other things have turned up now with ONE FC in that.
Definitely, mate. Everything happens for a
Yeah.
reason. I'm a big believer in that saying.
Yeah.
Um, and now, back in 2016, you teamed up with a guy called Israel Halperin. I think I said that right.
Yep.
he has a PhD in exercise physiology. Can you tell me about that? And since then, how has your training improved or changed from what you were previously doing?
Yeah, so I was just minding my own business, doing my own training, and I got this email from Israel, and he uh, just said like he's at the AIS, he's doing a doctorate in exercise physiology, and he needed some sort of like guinea pigs for his uh, studies. And he goes, and it happens that I'm also have a background in kickboxing, so if you help me, I can help you do some training. And I said, yeah, like I'd love to help, sort of boost my profile, and I get to see some other ways of training and sort of go to the AIS. Like that's pretty cool. Like Olympians obviously train their own boxes, so I wanted to go check out the AIS and do some training there. And it sort of just blossomed into an extra day. He would train me, and he ended up coming over to our gym sort of a few months later and meeting some of the guys, and we ended up training. Yeah, it was like for nearly 2 years or something. It was just after we met, just before the world title, and yeah, we sort of went till sort of mid 2016, I think, or about 2016. And yeah, he showed me, like, I'd never sort of done weight training before, so he got me a lot stronger and a lot fitter, and he was really smart with the way he trained, like coming from a sort of science background. He knew what would work and what wouldn't work, and he could sort of like knew how to train me, like how so I was going. He could sort of manipulate training just around my style and stuff, and yeah, he gave me a few new sort of techniques and tricks, and it was good to work with him. And he helped me push to sort of work for myself and get fights by myself. And that's how I sort of first met Sai. Like, he was contacting Sai a little bit, and we had we went to the I1 together, and yeah, we had some good fights together.
Are you allowed to let us in on a few little details or little things of like how he tweaked your training, or just how he made certain things better?
Uh, it was just using, like, optimizing time. Like, so before training, like, I'd do a lot of one-on-one stuff. There wasn't many group stuff. But then he come in, not only training me, but like a big group. So he said, like, you got to sort of optimize your time. When you're in Thailand, like, you have a pad holder, but here, like, sort of, you got to all work together. So we do a lot of partner work. Instead of sort of just doing pads, we do a lot of partner work and do a lot of bag work,
Yeah.
and then a lot of sparring as well. That was like one of the main differences that really helped, was like we're all sort of doing partner work and not much pads. But then when we would train together, just me and him, he would hold a lot of pads. We were doing something crazy like sort of 15 to 20 rounds of pads, instead of just like a normal sort of 5 rounds.
Yeah.
And like I got super fit doing that. And then there was just like really simple but effective strength and conditioning training sessions we'd do after the pad rounds. We'd do an upper body, legs, and core. And it was only like sort of 3 to 5 sets of like pull-ups and push-ups, and I never really sort of focused on that, and it got me pretty strong.
15 to 20 rounds on pads, eh?
Man, it killed me at the start. And there was a lot of shadow boxing, like we'd have to do sort of like 50 shadow kicks, like as fast as we could, and it would help with like flexibility and I don't know. It's just, he said he learnt that from being in France. He said a lot of the French kickboxers, they're really good, and he said one of the things was they would do shadow kicks, like shadow teeps, shadow kicks really fast, and you're sort of getting at least 100 more kicks than everyone else just at the start of the session.
Yeah, have you seen French kickboxing?
I know one kid that, like, he's getting signed with ONE FC, I think, and we fought in the same tournament. His name's what's his name? Elias Mahmoudi. He's good, man. He's like really flexible, does like lots of face teeps and head kicks and that, and so I hope I don't have to fight him.
Yeah, because if you watch French kickboxing, man, when you said a lot of those like air kicks and stuff like that, man, they kick so much. Like
Hmm.
they probably don't have like that power, that snap that the Thais do, but they're
Yeah.
quick and they're fast.
Yeah, he said he always wanted us to be sort of really light in the feet and almost like think
Yeah,
of like legs as hands. Like he wanted to just string like a kick, a knee, a check, and a teep all together, like really fast and really well balanced.
yeah, yeah, definitely, man. You should check out. I think it's called Savate or something like that for French
Hmm.
kickboxing. That you should check it out, man. Because as soon as you said that, I remember that. I used to watch like Do you ever used to watch like I think it was Fight Quest where it used to be on Nat Geo. The Jimmy, the new commentator for UFC,
Hmm.
him and another guy used to go. They used to go all around the world, like different countries, and
Oh,
they'd go for a week. And say like they go to Brazil, they'd do jiu-jitsu, BJJ for a week, and then what they learnt, they'd have like an actual. One of them would have a fight, and then they went to Thailand and they'd train Muay Thai for a week, and then one of them would get in the ring and have a proper fight, and they'd just go to different countries. And they went to France and they did that.
yeah,
So
yeah. I did. I remember seeing something like that. I can't remember the French kickboxing, but I remember, yeah, the Muay Thai that they did. Yeah.
yeah, and now, mate, in regards to that exercise physiology and Israel helping you out, I believe back in the day, you and Alexei Serapisos were having a bit of banter about he was going on about traditional, which is better than science based training. And
Yeah.
when you two fought each other the first time, you won. And did he have anything to say like when you changed your training methods?
Nah, I just shut his mouth. But like we're good mates. But yeah, at the time he was like, "Oh, you better bring your big boy pants to the fight, and I hope you have a good mouth guard because you're gonna get your teeth knocked out and stuff." And it like really pissed us both off. Like me and Israel, we're like, "Oh, we're gonna show him." And uh, after the fight, like it was fine. He was a bit more humbled, and then going into the next fight, I didn't have Israel with me. I think I still fought pretty well, but um, yeah, it just wasn't the same as with Israel. I learned some new tricks, but it was just, I think, a little bit fitter than I was at the time.
Yeah, and mate, the second time you two fought, didn't you even buy him fish and chips after Wayne, and you sat down and had a lovely meal together?
Yeah, well,
I've got to ask, what do you two talk about, knowing that in 24 hours' time you're both going to get ready to try and KO each other?
who knows? Yeah, I was in New Zealand by myself. My mate was coming, and Dan Hooker was coming the night after, so I didn't really have any way to get home or like anything. He's like, "Oh, do you want me to give you a lift home, and we'll get some dinner on the way?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's cool, man. Thanks." I don't even know what we were talking about. Like just sort of how we both got into fighting and talked about his kids and my kids, and it was just like we were just training partners or just mates. Like it was weird, and it was all the way up until we actually fought. We were just talking shit, like just in the back, and we're like, "All right, showtime, let's do it." And then yeah, we just try and kill each other, and then back to being mates again.
He drove you home from Wayne.
Yeah, he drove me to get dinner, and then he drove me to my hotel. And he had his kid with him as well. I forget his son's name, but he's like, "Yeah, this is the man who's gonna try and beat up Daddy." And
Oh, bless him.
yeah,
Oh, God.
it's all, man. We're all mates before and after. So
Nah, I've said it plenty of times before, and I'll say it again. Like that's one of the reasons why I love Muay Thai. You know, not everyone you fight is your enemy, and not everyone that helps you is your friend in life. You know.
yeah, that's it.
I think Mike Tyson said that, so I didn't make that saying up, but it's a good saying.
Sounds good.
Um, and I know Charlie Bubb, who's one of the best super middleweights in Australia at the moment, comes up to your gym to get some sparring in. What's it like sparring him, and do you ever have to go elsewhere for sparring partners when you're in a training camp for your own fights?
Yeah, yeah. Charlie, man, he's so good. Like, I think he's quite underrated, and I didn't really have too much to do with him before he come to the gym, but in um, it was in prep for his fight with Jake Lund, and he just messaged me one day and said like, oh, I don't really have many training partners. Like, can I come do some sessions with you? And I said, yeah. Like, man, I'm really taken back. Yeah, come. We got a guy who's your weight, about 80 kilos, so it'd be good for you for heavy sparring. But we got heaps of partners for you, and then I'll help you. So he came, and I think he did maybe 4 or 5 sessions leading up to it. And he's so fit. He did like 20 rounds with everyone, and like it's like, oh, anyone else want to come in? You want to come in? And man, I was buggered like by the so when I had to finish with him. Yeah, and he ended up doing really well against Jake. Like, did well. But I haven't seen him after that. But I hope, like, I want to continue working with him. He's a great bloke. And
Yeah, man.
he had a lot of knowledge to pass on to other guys. So like he wasn't just coming for himself. He helped out other guys as well. And I think everyone found that really special. That like this Charlie Bubba's come to train with us. Like we feel good that he wants to come work with us. So and that's how I felt. Like I was like, oh, like yeah, this superstar wants to come train with us. I feel really good. So I put in a lot of effort and emphasis on like trying to make him happy and make him work hard that he wants to come back.
Yeah, because I'd imagine it'd be difficult, man, because he always just changes his stance from southpaw to orthodox just so easily and effortlessly.
Yeah, he's really well balanced. He's a good martial artist, and um, he said he was having like struggling to find opponents. Like after Jake Lund, I mean, like he hasn't done anything, and he's kept a bit quiet. So
Yeah.
I was trying to help him. I was like, man, I have a friend who's like looking for sort of K1 fighters, and you fit it perfect. Like you're young, good looking, you got a good record, and he can box as well.
Yeah.
So I said, man, you should talk to this guy. Like they're Glory and K1 are looking for people like you, and I don't know what's happening with that. And then yeah, as terms for my sort of training and sort of venturing out, I've gone for a few camps. I've sparred with Matt Cashmore. Yeah, I did a few with him, and then I did a lot with Lee Fook as well at
yeah.
Phoenix. He's good to work with. And then I do a lot of like sort of box and sparring. Our gym is predominantly boxing, so there's a few amateurs in there, and then there's a lot of like other guys around Canberra that I've worked with, and then just guys in the gym. Like yeah, they're sort of improving, so they help me out as well. So it's either with Lee at the moment or just with the guys at the gym, and with my current trainer now, Jamie.
And is that you? Are you a trainer full time? Like, is that your job apart from fighting?
Yeah, I sort of manage the gym and like a part owner as well. But I get a wage for managing and for coaching as well, and then I just do PTs on the side.
Yeah, nice. So it's all 100% pure fighting focused.
It's good, man. I was before fighting, I was working at Parliament House as a security guard.
Oh yes.
Yes, and a job came up as for a coach at Stockade, and my wife's like, "Oh, you should go for it." And yeah, I remember like we're walking the dogs, and I was like, "Oh, I'll just give them a call and see what they say." And gave them a call, and they're like, "Yeah, Josh, come in." Like it was, so I didn't really know who was owned or worked at Stockade at the time, but they were boxing coaches when I was kickboxing, like when I first started at Queanbeyan. So like they were mates, and I just didn't know who they were. And they said, "Yeah, come in," and they just gave me the job. Like as I walked in, they gave me the tour and said, "Yeah, you can start on Monday." And I was like, "Yeah." So it was easy as, and I worked maybe like between 3 and 6 months between there and at Parliament House, and they're like, "Man, you're going to get so many PTs, like you should just quit your job." And so I did. Like after 6 months, I gave my notice, and then just the rest has been there. But my wife is a public servant, so she makes all the money anyway.
I was going to say, who was the Prime Minister at the time when you were security there?
I'll tell you a story. It was, not who was the one before that we got now? What's his name?
Tony Abbott.
Tony Abbott. So this is how good I was. I was sitting at a point. I was working sort of night shift, and I fell asleep like at my point, and he would just walk in to the sort of, I think it was the House of Reps entry, and it was like 6 a.m. He come in pretty early with his bike, and I was asleep at the X-ray machine, and the metal detector, and it went off, and I woke up, and he was walking through, and I was like, panicked a little bit, and just, yeah, he's like, probably should sack that guy if he's asleep.
It's only Tony Abbott anyway, mate. Who cares about him?
Yeah.
I certainly didn't vote for him. Hey, that's what I wanted to ask. You had a photo up on your Facebook, and it was you sitting down, sort of just calmly collecting your thoughts just before you made your entrance into 1FC. What's going through your mind, and what are you thinking before a fight?
Oh man, my sort of mind's like sort of racing 100 miles an hour. There's like so many different thoughts, like good thoughts and bad thoughts. Like it sort of comes in waves, like, oh, I'm gonna knock out my opponent, and it'll last for a few minutes, and then it'll be like, nah, man, you're not good enough to match it with these guys. What are you doing here? So all I try and do is just like sort of remember all the training I've done and sacrifice, and just focus on breathing. Just try and slow my heart rate down, and just try and keep it contained and controlled, and that's it, man. Just try and stay calm. Like, I don't want to get too anxious before it.
Just have a million different thoughts going through your mind, yeah?
Yeah, man, it's terrifying. Like, and it hasn't got any easier. Everyone's like, some people have said like, oh, it gets easier with time, and I get worse before the fights. Like, I got pretty bad anxiety before it, and the higher level you get, like the higher level opponents they are, so the more that you got chance of losing or getting hurt.
Yeah. Do you like listen to any? Are you like a music listener, or do you like to meditate, or like are you calm, or do you sort of like punch the walls to psych yourself up, slap yourself in the face?
Oh, sometimes the routines change. I do. Sort of got onto Wim Hof, like the Wim Hof method. So it's like just breathing and ice bath. So that's like my morning routine, is like just do a Wim Hof ice bath and breathing sort of sequence thing. And then just before the fight, like it's the breathing. And then I just started whatever I can to psych myself up. Like I just say, I'm gonna kill this bloke, or like whatever I can, and then listen to a bit of sort of dubstep, electronic music to sort of get me in the zone.
Does that all go once you step foot in the ring or the cage?
Yeah, that when sort of like the bell goes, or like sort of even before then, like walking out, it's much better, and like all that sort of fear goes away.
I was gonna say, man, because like watching the 1FC, you've got to be pretty pumped when that commentator's going, Josh Tonna, Australia.
Yeah, that was intense. So I didn't know who she was, and then I found out she was like, the ring announcer for Pride, and she's good, man. She pumped everyone up, even the people watching.
I was gonna say, I was pumped, man. I wasn't even fighting. Oh, mate. So, moving forward, what's the plans for the rest of this year? Have you got any more fights lined up? I know you said you've got a 6-fight contract with 1FC. Obviously, you're probably allowed. They let you fight in other promotions.
They've said like you have to be really exclusive. However, they sort of let if you give them a lot of notice, like they give a bit of leeway. So that was good, because before this happened, I was sort of planning with my wife and sort of business partner to run our own event in Canberra.
Oh, nice.
So we're going to run our first one on the 26th of October. So I hope I want to fight on that as well. So I have to sort of let her know next week, and she give like it's like 11 weeks notice. I just say like I'm not available within sort of October and a bit of like November. But yeah, after that, when that's gone, then just if we have run another event or just one FC, that's all I'm sort of got my eyes on.
Yeah, nice, buddy, nice. And if people want to contact you, follow you, or stay up to date with what's happening with your fight wise, how can they follow you?
I put all my stuff on my personal Facebook page, just Josh Tonna, and my Instagram is at @tonbombtonna. Yeah, that's it.
And mate, lastly, but not least, anyone you wish to give a shout out or thanks to?
Well, Kirsty's sort of sitting over there. She'll probably get mad if I didn't say thanks to her, but she deserves it. She has stuck by me for years. Like, I really don't make much money, and when I'm hurt or when I'm nervous and when I'm selfish and not doing any housework or sort of keeping in my own world when I'm training and not looking after the kids, and she's always there. So, like, she's really helpful, and I owe a lot of my success and stuff just to her. My parents have been there for me. Stepmom Kath. These guys at the gym, people who have sort of helped me prepare when they've got fights as well. Sponsored by Muay Thai store. They give me a lot of gear, a lot of Yoko gear. That's the guys at SRG, Lewis and Eduardo. And I got a few local businesses that sponsor me. Belford Painting. Hey, Castell. Kelsey's giving me the what to say. Yeah, and just that's it, man. Michael Chavella for helping me get to 1FC. Sai for putting me on Rebellion. That's about it, man. They're the guys I really look up to and have helped me progress in my career.
Well, mate, thanks very much for having a chat with me. It's greatly appreciated. I wish you all the best, especially with your promotion coming up in October, and let us know about that, and I'll be more than happy to share that out, man, and get the word out. And yeah, good luck with any fights coming up, and with your 1FC, man, and with the rest of your career. I'll certainly be watching anyway.
Thanks, Mudzi. And just want to say, like, you're doing a good job promoting up and coming fighters and fighters like myself and people who are just real passionate about it. I like listening to all your interviews.
Oh, thanks, man. It's been fun, and this one's no different. They're all been great, mate. So thanks so much for your time.
Okay, cool.
Cheers, brother.